It's the last one that we'll ever hold at this location, and there's one more race to round it off. Here's how qualifying lines up. Waleed will snatch pole with a 1:16.5, but he's closely followed by Cooper, just 500 separating them. Jackson, who's still quite close in terms of time, is going to be in P3. Dylan drops back quite a ways into P4. Garrett, who once again makes it to the final, is going to line up in P5. Jake lines up in 6th after an unlucky qualifying session. Waleed takes the field to the line. He cuts the beam and the race is underway. The engines roar to life as everyone sneaks their way into the slipstream of the car ahead in order to get the best run possible down to turn 1. Everyone punching a hole in the air for each other. Jackson takes a look to the inside, but I doubt that's going to be much of anything there. They stay in the same position as they started. Garrett takes it off a lot of curb and he's spun round.
The curb on the inside is really quite dangerous. You can't let your inside wheel get over it.
It's an unlucky start for Garrett. Waleed starts to break away. Jake starts to fall behind, but the train is still very much in action. It's a 3 or 4-way battle for the win at the moment. Jackson goes to the inside. He makes sure Cooper knows he's there, banging doors slightly, but he does get around him and secure P2 for now. Through the tunnel we go now, definitely the most dangerous part of the track. This is where we see the most mistakes. Jackson correcting a slide a little bit, but keeping it straight for the most part. He gets sideways under braking, but he keeps it on the track. Cooper is in position to capitalize off any more mistakes Jackson might make. He's going to be eager to get round him anyways, even if he doesn't make a mistake. If you're in P2, well, that's how you make it into P1. You're not going to be able to overtake 2 cars at once on this track, but this spot's a good place to try and set one up. Cooper might be a bit late on the brakes. There's a tiny tap there. Jackson will have felt that, but it won't be taking him out of the race. They're side by side now. Cooper trying to get P2 back, but Jackson gets a slightly better run. If these two keep fighting like this, Waleed's going to be able to break off into the distance. They need to figure this one out fast, because there will be no hope of catching him once he does. They're going to go side by side into turn 1. They aren't banging any doors quite yet, but Jackson is going to be very yielding and giving space. He's not going to jump out of the battle yet. What he needs to do is play the long game. He needs to back off and slot behind Cooper, but it's not going to happen. Big contact. That's going to open the door potentially for Dylan to sneak his way into P3. They're certainly close. Jackson merges back onto the track ahead of him. Will it stay that way? We're not quite sure. He's definitely going to be shaken after those 2 impacts.
Jackson and Cooper both know that they can keep up with Waleed. A good strategy would to just stay single file and not slow each other down. Then they could pass Waleed together. Jackson gets the braking wrong again. Look at how far out he is.
That might allow Dylan to slip into P3. It's at least going to start up another battle. Cooper may very well be able to break away and start fighting Waleed again, because his brother is going to be taking care of Jackson. He was too eager, and now he has another car to pass. It won't be anything into the final corner, but if he wants any chance at taking the win, he has to find his way back into P3 as quickly as possible, and he has to work together with Cooper in order to catch Waleed, who's now starting to pull away. But now that Cooper has clean air, he may very well be able to start catching up. Cooper just has to drive a tiny bit faster than Waleed. Once he gets close enough, he can utilize the slipstream and start closing ground from there. Look at Jackson sending it over the curbs at the bottom of the screen. He's going to go to the inside of Dylan. He's going to try it again through this corner. The first time didn't go well. It's not going to go well this time either. Jackson goes flying over the sausage curbs and nearly spins out Dylan. He loses even more time trying to be too optimistic and get back into 3rd place. He needs to be more patient or he's going to throw his own race away.
Cooper is impressing with how fast he's closing the gap to Waleed. Look at how much it shrank in just the span of a lap. He's carrying so much more speed up over the crest. Jackson's going to go for it once more up the inside.
He's in a good position to make the pass work now, but it's a little bit rude to Dylan. Maybe a little bit of contact, shoving him quite wide, but it might be just enough to sneak his way into 3rd place. It might be a bit too late now, though, because the gap Cooper and Waleed have built to those two is monumental. Jackson up the inside again. Dylan gets the brakes wrong, and he spun it. He's done a good job slowing down Jackson and giving his brother the best chance at the win. He recovers quite quickly as well. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of attacks Cooper is going to try on Waleed. This track, it's hard to overtake in braking zones, especially in these first couple of sectors.
You really don't get that much room to work with through these chicanes, and these cars are quite difficult to drive and hard to predict. patience is key, and the optimal overtaking position, in my opinion, is probably going to be the final corner.
We've seen one happen through here a little bit earlier, but Cooper isn't going to go for it. He's too far to the outside, and he didn't have any move to try and switch it around. And Waleed is going to be trying very hard to defend. He's going to be looking in his mirrors half the time, I'm sure of it. Why wouldn't he? This is his best chance at a tournament win yet. He's not the kind of person who can give in to pressure and throw it away. Cooper's thinking very wisely about this one. He's being incredibly patient. He knows that he has enough pace to stay on the back of Waleed. He's thinking very carefully about how he wants this overtake to go. He's got around 5 minutes. I'm not sure if he has enough time to quite formulate the plan to perfection, but he is going to be enough time if he wants to be optimistic to try a handful of overtakes. But I'm not sure he does. He's worked his way to be so close, he doesn't want to throw it away like Jackson did.
This is where critical thinking becomes extremely important. You don't just want to throw into the side of Waleed. Even if you do, and you complete the pass, you will be penalized for dirty driving.
He's going to back off a little. He's going to drive carefully. He's going to make sure he sticks to the back, but he isn't going to overdrive. He's not going to try anything quite yet. He's going to wait for Waleed to make a mistake, maybe not carry enough momentum into a corner, maybe apex too early. Cooper could try a late apex, he could try to get a better exit, but he doesn't want to go for any dives. There's no way that that is a good choice right now.
And Waleed's going to be having the same thought process, but instead of overtaking, it's going to be defending. He's being very wise at where he's putting the car on the exit so that Cooper can't have any sort of advantage anywhere.
Even with all this time behind Waleed, there hasn't been a single opportunity for Cooper to slip by. That's how wide Waleed is making that lead car. He's doing a very good job of defending. Despite how exciting this race has been so far, we're still in the same order that we started in. And this is probably the closest race that we've had for the win in quite some time, if ever. The gap between Cooper and Waleed has not been more than a car's length since they broke away into their own kind of field.
I'm honestly very surprised that we haven't seen any overtake attempts from Cooper yet. Usually he's pretty aggressive with this kind of thing.
Like we agreed earlier, he's trying to be clever with how he can make this overtake work. He doesn't want to take any sort of unnecessary risks that might result in contact or a spin. He may be being just a little bit too patient now, though. He is going to try and make a move, but Waleed's going to cover him off. He looks to the outside, but that was pretty aggressive defending from Waleed. Cooper had a run, but Waleed weaved all over the track in order to keep him behind. It's a fair move, but that could have been just a tiny bit dangerous. It played out well for Waleed, though. The gap remains microscopic, not being any more than 4/10 for the span of around 3 laps at this point. It's looking a little bit like Spec Miata racing with how close they've been for this long. They're definitely trying different lines, though. Look at how deep Cooper's is compared to Waleed's.
From the outside, they look to have very different strategies, but in reality, they're quite similar. They're just playing the long game. The only time that your position matters is when you cross the line while the checkered flag is waved. Up until then, it doesn't matter if you're in first or second place.
Cooper's going to try something around the outside now. He fakes Waleed to the inside. It's going to be an up and under. It's front wheel to rear wheel. Waleed's going to come over and cover him off. It's a little bit scary, a little bit close there, but there's no contact. Cooper has to take a slight avoidance, and I think Waleed is still going to be able to hang on to P1. Cooper backing out and waiting even longer. That was a good move, but it won't get it done. That's about 2 more laps that he has where he can patiently wait behind, but look at this. Where's Jackson come from? He's almost joined the battle once again. Waleed covers off Cooper, and Jackson might now be able to insert himself back into the battle for P1. Where's all this pace coming from? It's going to put pressure on both Cooper and Waleed. They're going to see that they're slowing each other down in this battle because Jackson has made up all that time and is now all over the back of Cooper. The 3-way battle for the lead is back on.
Jackson's been driving aggressively off camera. He hasn't set a lot of valid laps, and that's because he's using so much of the curbs to where it's invalidating his lap. Look at how Cooper is weaving to try and keep him behind. He doesn't want to deal with Jackson right now. He just wants to race Waleed.
And you can see already just with the introduction of Jackson into the equation, the gap to Waleed is enlarging between all of them. Before, Cooper just had to worry about the car in front of him. He could stay glued right to the back of it, but if he does that now, Jackson is going to try and get around him. He's going to try and take advantage. He's going to try and split the two on his climb to the front. Now Cooper has to hang back a little bit and worry about Jackson and try and fend him off while still keeping up with Waleed, but it isn't working well for him. Waleed is breaking away in this final lap. He may very well have the win under his belt now. Cooper is going to be eager to try and force Jackson into a mistake. He's hoping he'll make a mistake, and he's hoping that Waleed will as well, because that gap is just getting too big. Jackson's going to have a run up the inside of the tunnel, but you don't want that. That'll upset the car. He's onto the curb. Look at that slide from Jackson, keeping it just barely out of the side of Cooper. He's overdriving, but not enough to where he's making a mistake. He's just pushing the car to its absolute limit. But Waleed has formed such a big gap as they roar down the back straight now. Cooper still weaving down the straight to try and block off Jackson from every angle, but he brakes too late. He locks up. He's gonna go straight, and Jackson's gonna be able to make up P2. Will he have a big enough run? No, that won't be possible, and it will be after so much hard work and after so many tournaments. Waleed picks up his first win, and in a last chance effort to get into P2, Jackson takes it. Cooper finishes in P3, Dylan P4, Garrett P5, and Jake rounds us off in P6. Waleed, after so much hard work and so much learning, so much growth, can finally take home a trophy and can finally say that he's won one of these. It's one more new winner for this venue, and next tournament will take place at the brand new shop. If we could pick any of the races to round this place off with, it would be this one. We couldn't have asked for something more exciting. It's been brilliant, Gordon, but we're gonna end this chapter now, and we're gonna move on to the next one. Let's hope that this next era of Yellowstone Grand Prix is so much better than the last one.
It's a beautiful closer, and I'm happy that we're going to be expanding. Hopefully we'll see more exciting tournaments coming up real soon.
We head to Sonoma next in LMP2 cars, one of the fastest things we've ever driven. We'll see you there.